All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited that you are here for financial freedom now. 4 steps to liberate yourself, even if you're in debt. And, I'm really excited because I know that every time I do these master classes, it is the beginning of a new chapter for some of you. Some of you are going to resonate with what I'm sharing today so much that you are going to become fired up and you are going to want to take action. You're going to want to take the next step because you are going to feel so aligned with this material. It's going to feel like truth in your body. And so that's why I am so excited for you. I don't know who it's going to be, but I know some of you are going to begin a brand new chapter in your relationship with money. Now, if you are not familiar with me, I am Jessica Marie. I am a radical money coach, a mindset mentor, and the author of this book right here, The Science of Getting Rich for Women. Now, The Science of Getting Rich is not a new book. In fact, it's 115 years old. It's a classic book by Wallace D. Wattles. Last year, I updated it and annotated it specifically for women with language that speaks directly to your soul as a woman so that you can receive all of the wisdom and the wealth of knowledge that's in those pages with language that speaks directly to you. This book has made an incredible impact in my life, and that is something that I share in the Science of Getting Rich for Women online 3-day masterclass, which by the way is coming up in just a couple weeks. So if you are interested in being part of that 3-day masterclass, you can either send me an email or you can comment in the chat masterclass, and I'll be sure to make sure you're invited. So today is a 1 hour masterclass, and the title of it says it all: Financial Freedom Now. Not tomorrow, not a year from now, not one day, not someday, but now. And I want you to put in the chat if you believe that you can experience a reality, a feeling of being financially free now. Put yes in the chat if you believe this is true. Put no in the chat if you don't believe this is true. Because when I talk about financial freedom, I am talking about a feeling, an experience where you feel safe, you feel confident, you feel secure, and you feel free in your relationship with money. And that experience has nothing to do with how much money you make, how much money you have in the bank, how much debt you are carrying. I love seeing all those yeses. So you have an open mind. You clearly resonate already with the topic of this masterclass. Now, I'm going to ask you another question, and this is going to help me understand you and your relationship with money. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, I would like you to rate your relationship with money. 1 being, I don't feel safe at all. I don't feel supported. I don't trust money. And 10 being the complete opposite. I love money. Money loves me. I feel safe and secure and confident with money. I totally trust money is always there for me. Money never lets me down. Thank you for your honesty. This helps me to understand a little bit about you so that I can tailor my speech to you. So I'm seeing 655-766. Beautiful. This is perfect. I am so glad you're here. You made an excellent decision, by the way, to join this masterclass. You know, God, the universe, source, infinite intelligence is always guiding you to exactly where you need to be, to exactly what you need to receive. And clearly, my masterclass resonated with your heart and soul and desire for more. And there's no coincidence that you're here. You are here on purpose. You are here with a purpose. And I truly believe it is because it is your time to improve your relationship with money, to make that five a 10, to transform that seven into a 10. And what I'm going to share with you in this masterclass is my radical 4-step method to experience financial freedom now. Are you ready to discover the 4 steps that can transform your relationship with money from a 5 to a 10? Let me know in the chat if you're ready. Yes. Yes. Okay, good. Your energy fires up my energy and I feed off of you. So when I see you in the chat, super ready. Yes, yes. Okay. Beyond ready. Let's go. All right. What I'm going to share with you is a financial freedom equation that I have discovered, that I have implemented and embodied over the last 5 years that has dramatically transformed my life from fear, stress, anxiety, and overwhelm to absolute liberation, to absolute freedom and safety and security and abundance. And because I'm a radical money coach, some of the things that I'm going to share with you today, you've never heard before. Other things you are well aware of. And the financial freedom equation that I teach is energy plus strategy equals financial freedom. You see, most mainstream financial gurus, accountants, bookkeepers, they only deal with the masculine strategies of managing money. And back 5 years ago, when I was a first time homeowner, single mom for the first time, I was making great money, but I was spending it faster than it came in. I ended up in a big, what felt like dark hole of debt. And I was so ashamed. I felt so guilty and embarrassed to even talk to anyone about my situation because money is taboo. And we've all been conditioned and trained to believe that you don't talk about money. You don't talk about debt, although everyone experiences it and everyone has it, but you don't talk about it. And so I had to make a really bold stance and decide enough is enough. I can't go on like this. Something has got to change. And so I started studying and learning all I could about what the heck is this money stuff anyway? And how does it work? And how can I leverage it for my greatest good? And so I followed initially Dave Ramsey. Who here is familiar with Dave Ramsey? Let me know in the chat if you're familiar with Dave Ramsey, because I latched on to Dave Ramsey like white on rice. I was so into Dave Ramsey, and I have a lot of respect and reverence for Dave Ramsey because he taught me a lot of the things I needed to know at the initial stages of my journey. I took drastic action and I got drastic results. Within just 10 months, I eliminated almost $30,000 of consumer debt, became debt free for the first time in my adult life, believe it or not. And I thought I had reached the promised land. I thought it was the solution to all of my problems. And then I realized that there's so much more to this thing called money and this relationship that we have with money because we have all been programmed with money stories. And most of us have money wounds. And if we don't recognize these stories and these wounds and ultimately transform them, we stay stuck in this unconscious pattern and cycle that keeps us where we are. And so most mainstream financial people, they just talk about the masculine doing the strategy. And while that is very important, it's only half of the equation. It's only 50% of the financial freedom equation. The other half, which mainstream people don't talk about, is the energetics of money. And so, what I'm going to share with you now is step number one. You see, my money flow method, the word flow is an acronym, F-L-O-W, and each of those letters represents a step in the financial freedom now equation. Now, the first step is fundamental. The first step is so important. And I'm so glad it goes first in the FLOW acronym, because once you understand this step, everything is built on top of it. So the F, does anybody have any ideas what they think the F could be? Just curious, no pressure. Oh, good one. Yes, freedom, freedom. That's a good word. It's not freedom. Find. Good one. It's not find. I love your participation though. So good. Okay. The F stands for frequency. Who here is familiar with the word frequency? More and more people are talking about frequency. You know, Nikola Tesla, one of the geniuses of our time, was quoted for saying, if you wish to understand the universe, you've got to speak in terms of frequency, energy, and vibration, because that is everything in our universe. Frequency. Nobody's heard really of the word frequency. Well, now that I've planted this into your mind, I'm sure you're going to hear this word more often now. Frequency is a very abstract word, but I'm going to make it very concrete for you as best as I can, okay? I want you to think of frequency as like a radio station, okay? So everyone is tuned in to a specific frequency or a specific radio station. Yeah. So on the spectrum of frequency, remember how I said rate your relationship with money on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst and 10 being the best? Well, I want you to understand frequency as a radio station, a spectrum, with 1 being fear and 10 being absolute faith. Now, all of us have a frequency that we are tuned into, and we create our entire reality based on that frequency that we're tuned into. So just like if you were to dial in to 99.5, you're just going to hear maybe rock and heavy metal. That's all you're going to hear when you're tuned into that frequency, because that's all they play on that frequency. Now, if you tune up your frequency and you dial it into, let's say 107.5, and they play opera, or they play spiritual, uplifting music, you're going to hear that all the time. You're going to experience that all the time, because that's all they play on that radio station. So you, in your current life, in your current reality, you are tuned in to a specific frequency, a specific radio station that is always broadcasting the same content, the same stories, the same ideas, the same feelings. We've got fear and we've got faith. When you are tuned in to a frequency that is fear-based, your reality revolves around worrying, stress, overwhelm, anxiety, depression. However, when you become aware of the fact that you are a powerful creator and you get to choose what frequency you want to tune into, you can decide to change your mind and tune into a different frequency and create a reality and an experience where you feel safe with money. You trust money. You know money is always going to be there for you. Your bills are always going to get paid. Your needs are always going to get met. And you can rest your head at night, every night, knowing that this is so. This is absolute faith and trust. It's really interesting that people often worry about money. Who here worries about money? And it's okay. There's no shame. I used to worry about money all the time, especially when I became a single mom and a first-time homeowner. Oh my gosh. I worried all the time, like what if? What if? Yeah. Yes. 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 Here's the thing about worrying. It's counterproductive. It doesn't solve any problems. It doesn't help your solution. In fact, worrying only makes you a magnet for more conditions and circumstances to worry about. That's the law of vibration. I teach that in the science of getting rich. So when you're worrying and you're stressed about money, not only are you not helping your situation, but you are like a magnet for more conditions and circumstances to worry about. You see, that's how the universe works. The universe doesn't speak in words and language. It communicates in vibration. Your feelings are a vibration. When you're in worry, fear, doubt, anxiety, that is a specific vibration. It's a lower vibration, and when you're emitting that vibration, it goes out into the universe and universe picks up on it and says, "Okay, I'll match that. I'll match that with more things to worry and fear and be anxious about." And you don't want that. So here's what you've got to understand. This is really important. You need to know this. When you notice that you are in a fear-based vibration, your frequency is tuned into worry, doubt, anxiety, stress, overwhelm. You've got to shift your frequency. You've got to change the dial on the radio station so that you do not become a magnet for more things to worry about. And I teach how to do that inside my Money Flow membership, which I will share a little bit with you about later. Um, but right now, I want to teach you everything you need to know so that you can walk away from this hour like, damn, that was a good hour spent. I learned so much and I've got some tangible, actionable steps to walk away with. That's what I want for you. So, frequency, it's like a radio station that you're tuned into. It's either more fear based or it's more faith based. And the whole purpose is to get where you are to totally aligned with absolute trust and faith. And when you do, your relationship with money is going to skyrocket. It is going to feel so heavenly, so pleasurable. It's going to feel absolutely wonderful. So, frequency. Now, moving on to the second step. The second step is also energetic. It's the letter L. Does anyone know? I'm just asking, does anyone know what the L could potentially stand for? First intuitive hit, what do you think? Learn. Good one. It's not learn. Legacy. I love it. You ladies are awesome. That's a great word, powerful word. And that's what you will create when you transform your relationship with money, but it's not legacy. The the literacy, that makes a lot of sense as well. It's not literacy and it's not listen. Hi, Christy. Glad you're here. The L stands for love. Believe it or not, you probably didn't even think of this word. But here's the thing. Love is a vibration. It is a feeling. And love is the highest truth. It is the absolute highest truth. It's the only thing that's real, by the way. Everything else is just an illusion. And when you can love everything without judgment, including your money and your debt, what you have and what's on the way, you are going to transform your relationship with money. Now, stick with me here because I'm going to get a little radical on you, okay? We have been conditioned and programmed with certain beliefs that are false, okay? They are not true, and they are preventing us from experiencing this relationship with money that is an absolute 10. That is magical, magnificent, wonderful. Some of those stories that we've been programmed with are money's the root of all evil. Who here has heard that one growing up? Money is the root of all evil. How can money be the root of all evil? This makes no sense. But I know I was programmed with that belief. How about this? Rich people are greedy. All those rich people at the top, they're all greedy. Who here believes or have heard growing up that rich people are greedy? Yeah. Here's what I want you to understand about money. That money, just like everything in the universe, at its fundamental core is energy. Everything is energy. Okay? Money is an energy. It is something that we use to exchange value for service. It's just the way our world has been set up. We use money to exchange value for service. Money is not evil. Money is not a bad thing. Money is here to support you. Money is here for you to have fun with. Money is here for you to give, to make contributions, to play with, to leave a legacy, and of course, build wealth if you so choose. Here's something really radical I'd like you to try on for a moment. Debt is a form of abundance. And if you've never heard this before, it probably is going to rattle your brain a little bit because we've all been conditioned to believe that debt is bad and debt is wrong and debt is something that you should avoid at all costs. Who here thinks debt is bad? Put bad in the comments. If you believe that debt is bad, debt is wrong, debt is something to be avoided at all costs. So here's what debt is. Debt is an advance of receiving. Yes. Debt is an advance of receiving. If you have credit cards, lines of credit, overdraft, those are all forms of abundance. Those are all things that are here for you to be supported. Now, you always have all the power and you get to decide how you choose to leverage or to use those forms of abundance. But ultimately, those are all forms of abundance. And if you have debt, you have an advance of receiving. So put it this way. Here's what I notice a lot with people I work with in the beginning stages is they are feeling stressed and overwhelmed. They have debt and they absolutely hate it and they want to get rid of it as soon as possible. They think it is the source of all of their problems. And if they just got out of debt, their life would be perfect. I used to think that too, by the way. Let me just play this debt thing out for you. So, for example, first of all, you came here into this life to experience, express, and expand. That is your incarnation intention. That is why you are here. You are here to learn. You are here to grow. You are here to experience, and you are here to express yourself and ultimately expand into all that you are, which is powerful and great and pure and love. Now, we use money to exchange for value, things that we want to do. So, for example, um, you might have an opportunity to go on a vacation. Let's say you have a childhood, lifelong best friend, and let's say she's turning 50 and she's always wanted to go to Africa. And she says to you, look, I'm planning this trip. It's going to be spectacular. We are going to go on the most luxurious African safari. We're going to see the elephants roaming free. It's going to be the trip of a lifetime. You've got to come. You've got to come. And you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. I would love to go. But I don't have $10,000 just sitting there waiting for me to spend. But you do have a line of credit available to you. And let's say it offers you $10,000. Now, if you were to use that form of abundance to do the thing that your heart desires, to do the thing that you just know you're meant to experience, you would go into a business deal with the bank and you would borrow the money and therefore you would collapse time. So instead of having to save up the money, which would take a lot longer, you borrow the money, you collapse time, you pay a little thing called interest, and you pay the money back. And you get to go on the trip and you create memories. You have the time of your life. Like during your trip, there are moments when you're brought to tears. When you pull up to the safari and you see the herd of elephants roaming free on the land. You see the baby calf, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here. And you're just overjoyed in gratitude, in awe and amazement. And you're so happy that you had the ability to borrow money so that you could do the thing. And you're so full of love and you're so happy. But here's what happens, and here's where you get tripped up, is that you come back from the vacation and you've kind of forgotten about the experience. You're back into your normal life and you're in the hustle and the grind, the busyness of life. And the bank statements start coming in and you got to make your payments. And all of a sudden, you forget about how grateful you were to have that resource available. And you start judging your debt as if it's something bad. You start denying it and rejecting it, and worse, hating it. When not too long ago, you were so grateful for the ability to have this experience. So when I talk about the word love in the money flow method, you've got to love money. You've got to love your debt because everything that your debt represents is everything you've wanted. Whether it was to buy a house or a car, pay for education, get a divorce, been there. You've got to love it because it provided you with what you wanted when you had the opportunity to have it. So, this understanding of loving everything, including your debt, is going to radically transform your relationship with money. You look at your bank accounts, it doesn't matter how much money's in there. You thank God, you thank the universe for what it is you have. You love every dollar. You love your debt. When you can shift your vibration, which are emotions, from judgment, resistance, lack, to love, gratitude, appreciation, you become a magnet for more conditions and circumstances that align with money. Because remember, the universe doesn't speak in words, it only communicates in vibration. And when you are in a vibration of love and gratitude and appreciation, universe picks up on that. It's like, okay, I'll match that. Here's more conditions and circumstances to feel grateful for, to feel abundant with, to feel in love with. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat if this makes sense or it's going way over your head and you're like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. This is crazy. Yes and no. Thank you for your honesty. Totally makes sense. Yes. Okay. So we're going to switch gears now. So remember how I said that the financial freedom equation is energy plus strategy. It's feminine plus masculine. When you put the two together, you have a complete whole, a perfect vision. We can't just have the masculine. It's off kilter. It's not balanced. You need to have the feminine with the masculine. They marry together for the perfect financial freedom equation. So the F in frequency and the L with love is the feminine side. The feminine side, it's the feeling side. It's the being side. Okay? It's the receiving. That's the feminine. Now we're going to shift gears. We're going to go to the masculine side here. We're going to go to the strategy. Most of you are probably familiar with what I'm about to talk about, and it is equally as important. You see, the strategic side of financial freedom is having a plan for your money every month. It's being completely aware of every dollar that comes to you, goes through you. You see, most people, I included years ago, had my head in the sand. I didn't want to pay attention to all this stuff. I tried budgeting. It never worked for me. I felt like such a failure. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get this budgeting thing to work. And I considered myself an intelligent woman, a high income earner. I just felt like such a complete failure. So I just walked away from it, put my head in the sand. Money would come, money would go. It seemed to go faster than it came. I'd get to the end of the month. There was more month left than I had money in my bank. I was not conscious. I was not aware of every dollar that was coming to me. I certainly wasn't conscious of every dollar that was going through me. And as a result, I spun out of control, which left me feeling um, defeated, embarrassed, shameful, until I took a stand and I said, something's got to change. So the O stands for operations. Operations. Remember BEDMAS back in school? Operations. It's the tools, it's the systems, it's the strategies. Now, ladies, you know, they don't teach this stuff in school. I wish they did. I wish I had learned this at a younger age. But I never learned it in school. I never learned it at home. So I was just left to figure it out on my own, fend for myself. And I know most of you are in the same boat. If you didn't find someone to teach you, if you weren't self-led enough to really dive into studying this, you're not going to learn it. And understanding is the key to everything. Understanding is the key to everything. So the O stands for operations. It's the tools, it's the systems, and it's the strategies for managing your money, for creating goals, tracking your progress, celebrating your achievements. Now, as it relates to budgeting, the one thing that I learned from Dave Ramsey was the zero-based monthly budget. Who here is familiar with the zero-based monthly budget? This budget template, this way of budgeting completely transformed my relationship with budgeting, with planning, with tracking. Yeah. So here's what I discovered. I realized that all my past attempts to budget failed because every month is different. And when you get like a budget template from like your bookkeeper or your accountant or something like that, it doesn't really make extraordinary allowances for each unique month. And every month is different. Let's face it. If you've got kids, back to school time is when you're spending some money. When it's Christmas, you're spending some money. If you have, weddings, graduations, baby showers, birthdays, these are all extraordinary expenses that aren't accounted for in just a regular typical budget. And so when I started following the zero-based monthly budget, it actually worked. And when I did it for the first time, I felt a level of pride in my ability to actually succeed at doing the thing I set out to do. The difference between a regular budget also and the zero-based monthly budget is that you start with all the money that you anticipate you're going to bring in for the month. And then you start allocating every single dollar to fixed expenses, variable expenses, extraordinary expenses, debt elimination, savings. Now, I have created a toolkit which I give to anyone who wants it. It's got 7 tools, systems, and strategies in it. It's got this zero-based monthly budget template that I created, which is so simple, so clean, color coordinated, beautiful. It's all there for you. All you have to do is plug in your numbers and you can work it like a pro and you can feel like you're winning. That's the most important thing. So I'll make sure to get that to you if you're interested. I'm just thinking I'll probably put a link to it in the replay. Um, yeah, so I'll get you hooked up because I know you're going to want that toolkit. So tools. systems and strategies. Christy says, I did the envelope system for a while, but I can't say it worked well, LOL. It was a struggle. So I did the envelope system as well during my debt-free journey, and it worked like a charm for me. But since COVID, um, I have changed the physical cash envelope system to a system that me and my clients call freedom funds. It's kind of like sinking funds, but we changed the name because sinking has a negative connotation. We don't want to sink. We want freedom. That's what we want. So we call them freedom funds. Now, this is a system. It is a strategy for managing your money. Now, when you become fully conscious and aware of every dollar that's coming to you and every dollar that's going through you, and you have a conscious plan for it every single month, you are going to be able to plan for everything. But not only that, it is flexible and you can change it as you go. One thing I find a lot of women um, are resistant towards budget because they think it's like a plan set in stone and it's going to limit spontaneity, it's going to limit freedom and fun. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. Conscious spending plans are meant to be flexible. They're meant to allow for things to change. Remember how when I said you came here to experience, you came here to express, and you came here to expand? Well, when you create your plan at the beginning of the month, and then halfway through the month, an opportunity presents itself to go to a concert or do something that like your heart just jumps out. You're like, oh my gosh, I would love to do that. You get to decide if you want to change things around. You know, maybe instead of putting this much money, you know, to this, I'll put less to this so that I can do this. It's meant to be flexible. You're meant to be free. You're meant to have fun. You're meant to experience all that your heart desires. Now, listen, everything is a choice, and you always have the power to choose. Your power is your choice. You always have the power to choose. Now, there's spending. Here's another radical concept. There's no such thing as spending, overspending. There's no such thing as overspending. There's only spending in alignment and out of alignment. Hear this, it's very important. There's no such thing as overspending. There's spending in alignment and there's spending out of alignment. Remember how I said you came here to experience, express, and expand. Your soul came into this human form to learn things, to grow, to experience things, to have fun. And when you spend in alignment with your heart and soul's desire, there's no such thing as overspending. If there's a course that becomes available on photography and you just love photography and you've always wanted to learn more about photography, and you're like, oh my gosh, I would just love to take this course. You know it's connected to your heart and soul. You came to experience. Now, if you have to put that course on a credit card, you are among the wealthy people who has resources like that available. You get to collapse time, you get to have and do the thing before you save up for it. Thank you, bank. Grateful for you. There's no such thing as overspending in alignment with what your heart and soul came here to experience. Now, on the contrary, and I know this very well because I used to spend out of alignment all the time. And that is how I ended up in a deep, dark hole of debt, of shame and guilt and embarrassment. You see, I had an unrealized sense of self-worth. I was the perfect picture on the outside, but inside, I really didn't feel worthy. And I would spend money to validate my worth. With every swipe of my credit card, I attempted to feel important because I didn't feel important on my own. I spent money to keep up with the Jones. I spent money to look good for other people. I spent money out of guilt. I spent money out of obligation. And those experiences led to me in that hole. That's spending out of alignment, and that will never bode well. Does that make sense? There's no such thing as overspending. Money is here to be spent. It is here to be exchanged. There's only spending in alignment and spending out of alignment. Let me know if you want me to clarify that more because that is really important. When you are spending in alignment, you are spending from an energy of love. There's the L again. You're spending in the energy of, of gratitude and excitement and joy and connection and generosity. You can't overspend in that way. Spending out of alignment is when you spend out of fear, out of obligation, out of guilt. Here's an example. When I was a first-time homeowner, single mom, you know, there would be times when my kids wanted things. Now, they didn't need the things, they just wanted the things. And I spent out of guilt and kind of some obligation. I felt guilty that if I didn't give them the thing, that they were going to somehow be sad or be, you know, hurt. It's all about the energy that you do things with. If you are exchanging your money for value in a vibration, now remember, vibration, emotion, it's the same thing. If you're spending money out of guilt, that's out of alignment. If you're spending money out of obligation, that's out of alignment. If you're spending money to compete, that's out of alignment. If you're spending money to keep up with the Jones, that's out of alignment. I'm glad you get it. So operations, tools, systems, strategies. In that toolkit, there are two, I call them boss budget templates. One is the monthly zero-based budget, and you create a plan every single month because every single month is different. You know, one month I'm planning for back to school. Another month I'm planning for a vacation. Another month I'm planning for a graduation. So every month is a bit different. So we've got to have a different plan every month. You can't use the same plan every month. Now, the other boss budget template is the annual. And it's like zooming out. It's like the 50,000-foot view when you see your year at a glance. Now, this is really helpful when you are trying to strategize, you know, how much money should I put aside in my freedom fund for clothes? Because here's the thing, right? We don't buy clothes all the time. But when we buy clothes, right? Like we spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, depending on who you are and how much you have. So if you start planning for the things that you know you're going to need money for on a regular basis, guess what? Money's there when you need it. When I started implementing this system and this strategy into my life, it was a game changer. Every year before implementing this, we'd come to the end of the year. It would be end of October, start in November. Now I'm thinking about Christmas. Oh my gosh, where's the money going to come from? And then I would just put it all on my credit card. It would take me months and months to pay off. But when I started planning for Christmas and I started putting like $100 a month aside, sometimes more if I had extra money, and it was my choice if I wanted to or not. When I got to November and I had a couple $1,000s in the bank, Black Friday sales never been so fun. I didn't have to put it on my credit card. I had money in the bank. It was there. Here's another freedom account I have: transportation. If you have a car, you know you're going to need maintenance here and there. You're going to need new brakes, new tires, oil changes. Something's going to happen with your car and you're going to need some repairs. I started putting some money. I started with like, I don't know, $50 a month. And then something happened with my car. It's money in the bank. I can't tell you how liberating it feels to have a curveball thrown at you, an unexpected bill or expense, and you're like, I got this. I got money in the bank. I got an account for that. Who here has pets? Put dog or cat or horse, whatever you got in the chat. Who here loves animals and has pets? Okay, Christy has cats. Countess has a dog and a cat. I have two dogs. I've always had animals. Doggos. Yes. Yeah, we've got two dogs right now. And one of our dogs just tore his ACL on his rear leg. And 2 weeks into that healing, he tore the other one. So we had to do double surgeries. I can't tell you how good it feels knowing we've got money in the bank for that because we have been putting a little bit of money aside every month. It's a strategy, it's a system for becoming the master of your finances. And then finally, I'm going to switch gears one more time and I'm going to share with you what the fourth step stands for. The fourth step. Any guesses? W, it's a weird one. It's not a common letter, but this word is it's what dreams are made of. Wealth. Ooh, good one. No, it's not wealth. I know it could be. It definitely could be. You are building wealth when you implement this equation. Win. Good one. You are winning. You're definitely winning. Why? You ladies are awesome. Okay. The W stands for wonder. Wonder. Wonder is that innocent curiosity. It's what we used to do when we were kids. We would dream. We would fantasize. We would allow ourselves to wonder about what life could be like, when, if, how. You see, once you implement the last three steps, then you start to wonder, what's next? What do I want to do? What do I want to have? What do I want to experience if money was no limiting factor? And then that's when you enter the next phase of money mastery. That's the science of getting rich. But for the sake of this masterclass, I want you to really understand the money flow method. Energy plus strategy equals financial freedom now. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. It is a feeling. It is a knowing that money is always going to be here for you. It's always going to pay your bills, provide you with your needs. Everything is always going to work out for you. It always has, hasn't it? Trust that it always will. Have faith that it will continue to do so. And when you combine that with being a conscious steward of your money, planning and tracking all of your incomings and all of your outgoings, you are going to become a magnet for more because money flows to those who are good stewards of it. So, ladies, while I have just shared with you these 4 simple steps, you now know it. It's in your conscious mind. You know it. You have the knowledge. But I'm going to tell you something. It's not the knowing that's going to get you the results. It's the doing. It's the integrating. It's the implementing. And that is why I have created the Money Flow membership. The Money Flow membership is basically um, it's a space, it's a container that I hold and lock arms with you and support you as you integrate and implement this this process, because it's not the knowing that gets results, it's the doing. So while you now know everything that needs to be done, it's the journey. And the journey is just beginning for some of you. It's going to start May 1st. You're going to say, I'm doing this. My time is now. I am ready for this next phase in my life. And you're going to start with creating your money plan for May. You're going to, implement the tools, the systems, the strategies. You're going to try to embody this frequency that is more based in faith than in fear. You're going to try to love your money, love your debt, love all that you have. But when you go it alone, it takes longer. It's more challenging and it's not as fun. And so the Money Flow membership is a space that I created where I lock arms with you, that I support you in this journey every step of the way. We meet once a week for live uh, coaching sessions where you are supported wherever you are. And trust me, things are going to come up. You're going to feel certain things. These money stories, these money codes that you have been living with for so long, they're going to pop their heads and you're going to start seeing things that you never saw before. And it's perfect because it's time for them to go so that you can step into your next level of financial freedom. The Money Flow membership includes the toolkit, which you're going to get anyways, because I know the toolkit doesn't get the results. It's the implementation that gets the results. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jot this sign up link. If you are interested in joining the Money Flow membership, it's $88 a month and it's cancel anytime. So there's no real commitment. You can come in for 1 month and you can feel the vibe. You can see if it's something that is really helping you to change your relationship with money, improve your experience. You can stay for as long as you want. You can cancel after 1 month if it's not for you. You've got nothing to lose. Remember, there's no coincidences in life. You are here for a reason, and you are ready for this next step in your journey of financial freedom. Now, if anyone has any questions, let's say, you know what, I have questions. I'd like to learn a little bit more about you and about this experience. Um, there's my calendar. Book a call with me. We can have a private chat, offline, just you and I. You can share with me a little bit more about who you are and, what you want to achieve in the next 6 to 12 months. and answer all your questions. You've got absolutely nothing to lose here. I see it's the top of the hour. I did good. I did good for time. Does anyone have any questions you'd like to ask here now? Or um, if not, you can just click that link and book a call with me, and we can have a private conversation. But yeah, the Money Flow membership, it's where you implement what you learned here today. Because remember, knowing isn't enough. It's the doing, it's the implementation. So if you know, and when I say you know, I'm talking about your intuition, okay? Because your intuition is connected to your highest self, your truest self, your most whole self. It knows where you need to go. And you will feel a pull from within, like, oh, I want to do this. Like, I know this is the next logical step for me. Let's go. Honor that. If you know I'm not the person to journey with, and this isn't the space that feels most aligned for you, I honor that. I respect that. I'm not here to try and convince or manipulate for a sale, because the sale of the Money Flow membership is really not going to change my life much. It's going to change your life big time. Now, um, you know what? I'm just going to stop the recording here. So if anyone has any questions whatsoever, if you're watching this on replay, you can respond to that email. I'm going to bid you a good day. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will hopefully see you next time.